Tell me again, Mommy.
You and me against the world. Sometimes it feels like you and me against the world. When all the others turn their backs and walk away, you can count on me to stay. Remember when the circus came to town and you were frightened by the clown? Wasn't it nice to be around someone that you knew, someone who was big and strong and looking out for you and me against the world? Sometimes it feels like you and me against the world. And for all the times we've cried, I always felt that God was on our side. And when one of us is gone and one of us is left to carry on, then remembering will have to do. Our memories alone will get us through. Think about the days of me and you and me against the world. Against the world.
I love you, Mommy.
I love you too, baby.
I saw her today at the reception, a glass of wine in her hand. I knew she was gonna meet her connection. At her feet was a footloose man. You can't always get what you want. You can't always get what you want. might find you get what you need. And I went down to the demonstration to get my fair share of abuse, singing words gonna vent our frustration. If we don't, we're gonna blow a 50 amp fuse. Sing it to me. You can't always get what you want. You can't always get what you want. You can't always get what you want. But if you try sometimes, will you just might find you get what you need. Oh, baby, yeah. Oh. I went down to the Chelsea drugstore to get your prescription filled. I was standing in line with Mr. Jimmy, a man just came to see. You'd never do that to me, would you, baby? Spinning around you is all I see. Is what I want to do. We ought to stay together, loving you weather, times are good and bad, happy and sad. Come on, let's stay together, loving you weather,
If you need me, call me. No matter where you are, no matter how far, just call my name. I'll be there in a hurry. On that you can depend and never worry. No wind, no wind, no rain, no rain. Oh, winter's cold can't stop me, babe. Oh, babe, baby, baby. If you're my goal. Oh, no wind, no wind, no rain, no rain. Can't stop me, babe. If you're my goal. I know you must follow the sun wherever it leads. But remember, if you should fall short of your desires, remember life holds for you one guarantee: you'll always have me. And if you should miss my loving one of these old days, if you should ever miss the arms that used to hold you so close, or the lips that used to touch yours so tenderly, just remember what I told you the day I set you free. There's no mountain high enough, no valley low enough, ain't no river wide enough, keep me from you. There's no mountain high enough, ain't no valley low enough, ain't no river wide enough, keep me from you.
There's a port on a western bay, and it serves 100 ships a day. Lonely sailors pass the time away and talk about their homes. And there's a girl in this harbor town, and she works laying whiskey down. They say, Brandy, fetch another round. She serves them whiskey and wine. The sailors say, Brandy, you're a fine girl. What a good wife you would be. Yeah, your eyes could steal a sailor from the sea. Brandy wears a braided chain made of finest silver from the north of Spain. A locket that bears the name of a man that Brandy loved. He came on a summer's day, bringing gifts from far away, but he made it clear he couldn't stay. No harbor was his home. The sailor said, Brandy, you're a fine girl. What a good wife you would be. But my life, my love, and my lady is the sea. Yeah, Brandy used to watch his eyes when he told his sailor story. She could feel the ocean fall and rise. She saw its raging glory. But he had always told the truth. Lord, he was an honest man. And Brandy does her best to understand him. At night, when the bars close down, Brandy walks through a silent town and loves a man who's not around. She still can hear him say, she hears him say, Brandy, you're a fine girl. What a good wife you would be. But my life, my love, and my lady is the sea. Brandy, you're a fine girl. What a good wife you would be. But my life, my love, and my lady is the sea.
was lightning before the thunder.
Thunder, 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 thunder,
Thunder, thunder, thunder, thunder,
Thunder, feel the thunder. Lightning and the thunder. Thunder, feel the thunder. Lightning and the thunder. Thunder, thunder. Thunder. Kids were laughing in my classes while I was scheming for the masses. Who do you think you are? Dreaming about being a big star. They say you're basic, they say you're easy. You're always riding in the backseat. Now I'm smiling from the stage while you were clapping in the nosebleeds.
thunder, 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 thunder,
thunder, thunder, thunder, thunder.
Thunder, feel the thunder. Lightning and the thunder. Thunder, feel the thunder. Lightning and the thunder. Thunder. Thunder, feel the thunder. Lightning and the thunder. Thunder, thunder, feel the thunder. Lightning and the thunder. Thunder, thunder, feel the thunder. Lightning and the thunder. Thunder, thunder, feel the thunder. Lightning and the thunder. Thunder, thunder, feel the thunder.
Do we have? We're missing one person. Justice Geske.
I'm supposed to be up here. Oh, sorry. Wrong spot.
Hi everyone, my name is Emily Segrist and I'm running for Wisconsin State Assembly District 24. And I want to welcome everyone here today on this beautiful Wisconsin day. Oh, thank you. Sorry. I was all prepared for that line. I was like gonna go right into it. And we're so excited to have Dr. Jill Biden, our future next First Lady, here today as well. Oh dear. In Waukesha County and communities across Wisconsin, families are struggling to stay afloat during this pandemic and recession as temporary layoffs become permanent job losses. While the president downplays and denies any real threat from the pandemic, families are paying for his failure to act with their lives and livelihoods. During these uncertain times, it should be obvious Americans need access to health care, now more than ever. But instead of expanding life-saving care or working to reduce the price of prescription drugs, Donald Trump is in court trying to strip millions of their coverage in the middle of a global pandemic. As a nurse educator and a former nurse practitioner, I've seen how the healthcare system still doesn't work for many, and I also know how devastating Donald Trump's actions will be if he succeeds in overturning the Affordable Care Act. As a nurse practitioner, I took care of a gentleman in the emergency department who had not had care in over 20 years. And he had not seen a healthcare provider because he just couldn't afford it. He was working full-time, just didn't have the benefits. I diagnosed him with diabetes and asked him to follow up with me at a free clinic that I volunteered at. When he came to my free clinic, I gave him insulin, which is a life-saving medication for diabetes. I also diagnosed him with high blood pressure and started him on medications for that. We were able to have him sign up for the ACA or Affordable Care Act. Within a week, he was able to see a primary care provider within his needs. And, you know, that just shows me that we're not doing enough. It doesn't have to be this way. Vice President Biden has a plan to give Americans more choice, reduce healthcare costs, and make our healthcare system less complex to navigate. He also believes that this is not the time to just build back to the way things were before, with the old economy's structural weaknesses and inequalities in place. This is the moment to build an economy where every American enjoys a fair return for their work and an equal chance to get ahead. And now I'll turn it over to former Justice on the Wisconsin Supreme Court, Janine Geske. Thank you.
Welcome, Dr. Biden. We've experienced all 4 seasons while we've been waiting for you here. So, as a former judge and a former Wisconsin Supreme Court justice, I have stayed away from endorsing candidates. For 40 years, I have not endorsed a single partisan candidate, but I decided this was the time to speak. I could not remain silent as this race goes on and the difference that there is between the 2 candidates. So I'm very proud to have joined the Biden-Harris team. And as hard as it may be sometimes, this was an easy choice. I know many of you, as I do, mourn the passing of Justice Ginsburg. Justice Ginsburg's successor will have a profound impact on every part of our lives and our future. This isn't about who's sitting on the court. It's how people are going to decide issues on the court. We need fair and impartial justice on the court. People that will go there without a predestined decision in hand when they're deciding these critical issues that affect Americans. And so it is important that we look at what's happening at the Supreme Court today, tomorrow, and the next few weeks, because it will affect our lives and our children's lives for years and years to come. If Donald Trump succeeds in this appointment, we could see the court strip our country of affordable health care. And we will have millions of people who are going without basic health care and medicines because of that decision. All this while the COVID-19 is going on, like the lung scarring and heart damage that we're finding in people. There's simply too much at stake in this race to remain on the sidelines. I'm standing here, Dr. Biden, for my children, but my granddaughter, who's 16, wave, Patricia, and who absolutely is thrilled about being here today because she too knows that this race is important. And I will not be along for the next 10 decades, but she will. And it is important that we have leadership that is wise, that is caring, that is empathetic, that displays leadership to our children. One of the worst things I think that have happened during these 3.5 years is that all the children who have looked to see what a leader looks like have seen Donald Trump. They've heard his language, they've heard his meanness, they've heard his bullying, and that's who they've learned to accept as their president. We have to end that. We need a president like Joe Biden who's going to treat people with respect, with empathy, to deal with racial inequities, and to be able to make a difference in this world. Joe Biden has the experience and wisdom that we need at this moment. Now I'll turn the program over to Lynn Carey, a retired nurse and nursing professor from Washington County.
Thank you, Justice. It is really wonderful to be here today with all of you and with, of course, Dr. Biden. My family, Jill, my family understands the economic consequences of health insurance. In 2004, I was diagnosed with a rare lung disease. I saw my doctor because I was short of breath. I thought I would leave his office with a prescription for an inhaler. Instead, I left with a prescription for oxygen 24/7 and a diagnosis that changed my life. I was on oxygen every day, all day. I was on very expensive medications. I needed to be monitored by my pulmonologist every 3 months. And I needed expensive procedures like heart catheterizations. I had to stop working. And when you stop working, we all know what happens, right? What do you lose? Your health insurance. I lost my health insurance. I was able to go on my husband's plan, and then he lost his job. So we lost our insurance again. I know what it feels like to be sitting across the table When someone tells you that you do not qualify for insurance because you have a pre-existing condition, we cannot go back. Fortunately, he did find a job shortly after, and I was able to get on his plan. They could not deny me because of the ACA. Actually, Dr. Biden, Jill, I first met you 8 years ago during the Obama-Biden re-election campaign. I was on oxygen. And I have a picture, and for some reason, you look the same, but I don't look that same. But I remember your kindness and concern as we talked. Well, as you can see, I don't need oxygen to talk with you today. On May 13th, 2015, I was fortunate enough to have a double lung transplant. Wow. Thanks to a young woman, a 37-year-old young woman who chose to be an organ donor. So transplants and ICU stays and rehab are expensive. We did not go bankrupt. We did not have to worry about losing everything we had worked so hard for because of the ACA. Yeah. And now COVID threatens all Americans, and particularly those who have chronic health problems or are immunosuppressed, like I am. So you see, I understand that this is a critical time. I understand that much is at stake in this election. For me, for my family, health care is at the top of my list. Joe Biden has laid a detailed set of plans. I was just on the website yesterday looking at the health plan once again. And no matter who you are, Joe would make COVID testing, treatment, and vaccines available to all of us free. Joe will give a, yes, that's huge. Americans will have a new choice, offering a new public option like Medicare, the fastest path to universal coverage. We all have the opportunity to elect a candidate in Joe Biden with the experience to help us recover and the empathy to help our country heal. So with that, I would like to introduce someone who I think speaks so well and gives me hope every day. Our second lady, former second lady, soon to be our first lady, Dr. Jill Biden.
Thank you. Okay. Thank you, Lynn. And it's wonderful to see you again. My gosh. You know, as a nursing educator and a transplant survivor, you know our healthcare system better than anyone. Wow, you have quite a story. And you've seen how innovation can save lives, and the quality of care doesn't mean much if you can't afford it, right? So once again, I'm so grateful for your sharing your incredible story, and I thank you for your tireless efforts for making sure that all Americans get the health care that they need. Amy and Maggie, thank you so much for hosting us today in your beautiful house and your beautiful land with your beautiful animals. So I'm so glad to be here in Waukesha. I said that right, right? Okay. Especially to be here in person after I've done so many virtual events in your state. But I'd like to start with a personal story of my own. So as many of you know, I've taught, for the last 10 years, I've taught writing at Northern Virginia Community College. But I've been a teacher forever, for 36 years. And a few years ago, I had to tell my students that I would miss the next class for personal reasons. And so my students have a lot of shining qualities, but boundaries are not one of them. So they immediately began shouting to me, Dr. B, where are you going? Well, my sister Jan was having a stem cell transplant, the first of her cancer treatments, and she would be isolated in a hospital room for over 6 weeks. And I tried to explain that to my class with as much composure as I could muster. But as I tried to tell them, the words caught in my throat. And so I turned around, and I was in my classroom, and I faced the whiteboard, hoping to gain my composure. And as I turned back around, my entire class was lined up, and they gave me a hug one by one. And that act of kindness, that act of community, gave me the strength to keep going. And it saved me in a time when I didn't even realize how much I was struggling. And in a way, that act of community saved my sister Jan, too. She has built her career as a waitress. And when she got sick, believe me, she didn't have the money and she didn't have the insurance to cover her treatments. It was only because of the Affordable Care Act that she was able to find a plan that she could afford. And it was that law that made it possible for her to get covered, even though she had a pre-existing condition. So it's easy to take for granted just how much changed when we passed the ACA. So 20 million people got covered. It's amazing to think of that, including more than 200,000 Wisconsinites. Wisconsinites, I don't think I ever said that word before. So pre-existing conditions got covered. It's not an exaggeration to say that this law saved my sister's life. And we all know that the ability to take care of our health is the foundation of a good life. I mean, we all agree with that. But these last few months have shown us that it's more than that, too. Our health is the foundation of our communities and our economy. And gosh, this pandemic has done so much damage. Some of it can be measured. The over 200,000 American lives lost. Millions who have contracted this disease and may now, and because of it, now have a pre-existing condition. The more than 10 million workers who are jobless. But in other ways, the damage can't be measured. The lost time with our loved ones, the mental toll of isolation and anxiety, the shattered hearts of every family that is grieving a loved one. And it didn't have to be this way. I mean, that's what's so unbelievable. It didn't have to be this way. And at almost every turn, this administration has not only failed to prevent and mitigate the destruction around us, they've made it worse. As the pandemic rages, President Trump is attacking the health care coverage that millions of Americans rely on and trying to eliminate the protections for people with pre-existing conditions. He's hoping to get rid of the law that protects them. I mean, for all of us, I mean, it's unbelievable. Still, amid the chaos and the grief, we also have so many stories of courage and resistance and resilience. Healthcare workers going above and beyond to care for their patients. Educators driving to neighborhoods to create hotspots for kids who don't have Wi-Fi. People donating food at food banks and in order for others to keep safe. It's amazing the food insecurity that we've seen in this country. And across this country, people of all walks of life are putting their shoulders back and fighting for each other. We haven't given up. We just need leadership worthy of our nation, worthy of all of you. And Joe is the only candidate in this race with a plan to recover from this pandemic. He's going to provide clear, evidence-based, yes, he believes in science, national guidance for businesses, schools, and individuals, created by public health experts. And he's going to make sure that our schools and our child care centers have the resources that they need to be safe, so that our kids can go back to school and we all can go back to work. And he's going to ensure that all Americans have access, like was said, to free testing, free treatments, and when that vaccine comes out, so that we can protect our families and our communities. But it's not just about returning to a system that left so many behind. It's about building our nation back better than before. And that's why Joe is going to make sure that our steps for economic recovery are just, equitable, and benefit all Americans, creating millions of good-paying jobs. And he's going to invest in the small businesses that are the backbone of our country. And he will not only defend the Affordable Care Act, he will build on it as well. Because it was always meant to be like a starting point, not a finish line. So he's going to create a public health insurance option like Medicare so that everyone can have high quality, affordable health care plan. And he's going to lower premiums, deductibles, and out-of-pocket costs. And the big one, I think, for everybody, he's going to make prescription drugs affordable. And I hear that across this country. Joe has spent his entire career bringing people together and getting the seemingly impossible done. And I can't think of anyone better to lead us through this pandemic than my husband, Joe. With the chaos of this moment, the uncertainty, it can be easy to watch, what's going on and feel so discouraged. I mean, I hear from a lot of people, how much anxiety and depression they feel. But right now, we don't have to just watch what happens. We have to decide what happens. And when we elect Joe and Kamala, they will help bring us back together and heal our fractured communities. And they have the fortitude to help us rebuild better than ever. And with their steady leadership, steady, not chaos like we have now, we can change the course of our future. So for just a moment, I want to take you to that future. So imagine that it's November 4th, the day after the election. I know, we're all like counting down, right? You wake up and it's a beautiful morning, maybe a little bit more sunshine than today. And maybe you stayed up a little too late watching the returns. I'm sure we're going to be up till all night. So you go and you pour yourself a cup of coffee. And at first you start to worry about your day, which I'm sure you all do now, like thinking, oh my gosh, what time are my meetings? What time do I have to get onto that computer? You're thinking about your Zoom schedule. And then it hits you like, oh my God, Joe Biden won the election. And pretty soon there's going to be a nationwide strategy to end this pandemic. And when you go out to get your mail, you think about your neighbor who lost her job. And then you realize, whoa, the next president is the same man who led the recovery in 2008 that created millions of jobs. You go to check the news and you notice there's no pit in your stomach. Your shoulders don't tense up. You're not dreading what's going on in the world. Instead, you sit a little taller, knowing that our next commander-in-chief will bring out the best in us. A president and a vice president-elect that your kids, your granddaughter, can look up to. Leadership that makes you proud. Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. And for the first time in so long, you take a deep breath and you feel hope. That's the November 4th that I want. And I know it's the November 4th you all want, or you wouldn't be sitting here today. In this moment, we have the power to decide what comes next. So I know you're here because you're already engaged, and or you wouldn't be sitting in this freezing cold. And I know you're busy and you're probably stretched too thin. But I'm asking you to just do a little bit more for the next 36 days, because this election is just too important to sit out on the sidelines. All of us have to do every single thing we can until the election. This is it. There are no do-overs. This is our last shot to wake up November 4th and feel that hope. So join us. Go to iwillvote.com to make sure you're registered. So I don't know if you've all done that. And so to make sure you're registered, help your friends and family do that too. Make sure they're registered. We have just, then if you want to get involved with our campaign, you, this is so funny. You text cheese to 30330. It's very fitting. So we have just 36 more days. 36 more days to make sure that our voices are heard, to make calls and talk to our neighbors, to fight for this country like we've never fought before. Let's wake up November 4th knowing that we did everything we can to feel that hope again. This is our moment. This is our election. This is our nation, and we will get to choose our future together. So thank you all for being here. Thank you for, in this chilly weather. Thank you for your commitment and your support. Thank you. Thank you, everybody. Oh, thanks. Thanks. Okay.